Welcome to A1R Psychic Radio here on Moonstruck TV with Amanda Hall Psychic all the way from the Gold Coast. Well, it's absolutely a fabulous day here again. We've had a little bit of rain. We're in a severe drought here, so any little bit of rain that we can get, we're very gratefully appreciative of. We could do with a little bit more, but the weather is still quite cold here. Well, cold for me anyway. So I hope you're having an absolutely awesome week wherever you are in the world of ours. It's again with a heavy heart that we have to sort of, all sort of hold everybody in our thoughts and our prayers for the latest shooting that happened in the last couple of days in the US. I mean, it just seems to be nearly every week that we're sort of remembering somebody that lost their lives. And this time it was, innocent young lives off doing something that they enjoy, playing video games. I mean, you'd think that your sons and your daughters are quite safe going to a venue like that. You don't think of them getting into any trouble or the possibility of them being killed. So I really do feel incredibly sorry for the families that have lost those two young men. Anyway, on to much brighter things. As we always follow on the show each week, we start the show with the Simply Tarot card of the week. And this week I'm pleased to say it's a positive one. And it's nice to always have a positive card to sort of work with. This is the Chariot card. It's the card of movement of resonance, or a victory over the situation or problem. Now, for many of us, there's been issues, particularly over the last few months, that we've really felt like we've been struggling with. Well, this might just be the time where we see a victory, or we see that we're back in the driver's seat of the problems or the issues that have been in our lives. And probably more importantly, the meaning of this card is balancing the opposite polarities. Now, what I mean by that is finally bringing everything in your life into a balance, or things that where you might have been at opposite ends of the boxing ring with people in your life, or situations or family members or loved ones. It's now finally we can come to some sort of resolution. We don't always all have to agree, but we can agree to disagree, and I think move on in a more positive sort of frame of mind. And that's what I think the message is this week, is that we all need to try and be a little bit more patient with other people. I mean, there is so much political unrest going on around the world. I mean, I try and catch up with the world events at least once a day, and, I keep shaking my head. I don't know whether it's a sign of me getting old or whether it's just the world's in such disarray, probably a combination of both. But when I see people that are disrespectful to people, that people that have passed over, and, the US president stands to mind there with the recent loss there of a man that was, so synonymous with American value systems, and a war veteran, and somebody that was very big in the political arena over there. And for a president to have such disrespect, I just shake my head. I really do. I'm sure there's a lot of other people shaking their head around the world on that issue as well. But anyway, we're going to have an absolutely awesome show. This week, we're going to be featuring a different candle, one that we haven't featured before on the show. I mean, as I've mentioned many, many times, there's 28 in the range. So it sort of always makes it sort of like each week we've got a different candle that we're focusing on, which is good. But this week I've chosen the Dreams candle. Now, the reason why I've chosen the Dream candle is that I think it's time for us all to sort of maybe try and have some better dreams in our lives, because we've had such a busy year where we've had full moons, we've had blood moons, we've had blue moons, we've had probably just about every moon that you can think of. And we had a very powerful full moon last week. I think it's nice now to follow on with, let's just all take a sigh of relief and sort of exhale and sort of say we can just have a little bit of a breather, a time to catch our breath, a time to maybe daydream, or maybe try and make our dreams more powerful than what they are. So that's why I chose the Dream candle this week. Now, for many people, they say to me, look, Amanda, I don't dream. Well, that's not true. We all dream. It's just a matter of some of us remember them more prolifically than others. I can honestly put my hand up and say I'm not a person that remembers very many of my dreams. So if I do get a dream and it wakes me up in the middle of the night, I actually get out of bed and write down the headlines, because I know first thing in the morning I will have forgotten it, and there would have been a powerful message there for me to be aware of it in my rest time. It must be a strong message coming psychically from somewhere that I need to pay attention to. So can I suggest, if you're one of those people that is like me, maybe have a pad and pen beside the bed so that, you can sort of turn your mobile phone on, get the torch part going and write down just the headlines of your dreams so you can fill it in the next morning. For those of you that are lucky enough to remember your dreams every night, well, lucky you, because, dreams is a very powerful part of our our conscious, our unconscious, and our subconscious part of the mind. Look, I'm not an expert on the different layers of sleep, but I can tell you this. I do know that things that go on in our day-to-day lives do get sort of put or buried into the subconscious and the unconscious part of our mind, sometimes for later on, for things that we're going to go back and we're going to revisit, we're going to reanalyze, we're going to try and sort out what that meant or how it applied to our part of life. Now, for many times, those things get buried for a very, very long time and then can resurface again at a time that we don't think is necessarily appropriate, or where did that come from, or I haven't thought of that in years. Well, it's now then we are ready emotionally to be able to process and deal with the information. And a lot of times it's obsolete by the time we get it to that point, that the situation has long passed and it's resolved itself in whatever way it was meant to. But a lot of times too, there's really still very significant messages in there that are relevant for today. So the dreams candle works in this way. If you want to sort of try and enhance your dreaming capabilities, or the ability to remember more of your dreams, or maybe you're dreaming of doing something new in your life, of manifesting something or creating something or starting a new project, then this is the actual the proper candle for you to use for any one of those above situations. So the dream candle will help you understand more powerful dreams. It will also increase your psychic ability. And yes, we all have psychic ability. Some of us just learn to develop it more than others. I always use this analogy. We could all go and learn to play the piano, but we're all not going to be Richard Clayderman, where it's not going to be natural and just sort of something that just seems to come easily to him. I'm sure he put in a lot of practice as well, but he makes it look very easy. Well, the same thing is said for psychic ability. We all have it. It's whether or not we choose to use it, work with it and acknowledge it, and whether we choose to develop it. So if you're going to be working with the dreams candle, my extra large candles have 2 wicks in them. Now, I like to sort of burn 1 wick one day and 1 wick the next day. The reasons why I do that is I'm a little bit frugal when it comes to parting with money. I believe that you get a longer burn time out of your candle that way. You'll get up to 100 hours, depending how you look after it, versus about 50 to 60 hours if you were to burn both wicks at the same time. Also, too, because the candles are in glass containers, they sometimes get very hot. The actual glass container gets hot, not the actual soy wax. It's the glass container that gets hot, and it can sometimes crack with the changes of temperature. So for that reason, I sort of suggest that you burn alternate wicks. It's entirely your choice. Now, we write down the things on the piece of paper that we might be looking to bring towards us. Say, for argument's sake, you want to enhance your capability to remember your dreams. Well, then you would word it in such a way on your piece of paper that from this point on, I would like to be able to remember more of my dreams and how they're going to influence my life. Putting it in your own words. So reading that out aloud as you go to light your candle. Always place your candle on a coaster. Never place it directly on furniture, because as we've mentioned before, the glass container gets hot, and I wouldn't like you to scorch your furniture. Then, you can place that on a coaster, burn your candle between 15 minutes to 2 hours per day. I like to work with everything in seven, so I suggest that we burn them for a 7-day cycle, but that's entirely your choice. It's up to you how many days you want to burn it for. I like to do things in stages of 7s. So if you're travelling or you need a small compact candle, this is my suggestion, is our travel kit. You can choose any 3 candles that you wish. You don't have to have 3 dreams candles. You can make up 3 of your choice from any of our 28 in the range. So it makes it a really nice little gift box to give to somebody as a gift, or just a gift to yourself sometimes or another. Now, these only have 1 wick, same rules apply, about a 15-hour burn time out of these little candles. So for those of you that don't want to work with a flame, and I know there's a few of you out there that don't want to do that, can I suggest you pick up when you're next time out at the variety store or the supermarket, that you can pick up a melt warmer. This one's an electric one, has a little button on the side that you can turn it on and off. I use my melt warmer probably every day. I have 2. I have one in my office with protection going for when I'm doing my psychic work. I have another one going in the main part of my house where I change that wax every, once a week or every few days. At the moment, I'm burning my dream one at the moment in it. And I put half a teaspoon of soy wax out of my candle in there daily. This is something, same rules apply, write out your list, read it out aloud as you're going to turn it on. Always place it on a coaster too, because, we're dealing with things that might scratch the table and everything like that. And of course, there's a little bit of heat that comes out of these as well. But these are a much safer alternative if you can't sit with your candle. And I don't believe we should ever burn a candle unattended. But these we can leave going all day and turn them off at the end of the day or the end of our work day. And it still gives you the same power as working with a candle. So that's just a cheaper, a different alternative, around about $15 here in Australia. So moving on to have our little quick glimpse of around the universe. And this week we've got still a very, very powerful configuration of slow-moving planets. I know I touched on this last week of Mars holding hands or conjunct Pluto in Capricorn. We still have the same influence, but this week we also add to the equation. It's 3 of them holding hands this week. It's Mars, Pluto, and what is known as the South Node. Now, they're all in Capricorn. We still have the ability of people being fiery and outspoken and sort of being a little bit nasty or aggressive or pushy and speaking before they've thought anything through. It still will affect the political arenas all around the world, or anything connected with governments, big business, anything on an official level. Now, the added influence this week is people are looking for the easy way out. People are looking for the shortcut. They're looking for the way that they can outsmart you, deceive you, get this through. If it's a bill that might be going through the parliament, they're trying to look for the fastest, quickest way of getting it through before anybody's had time to read it. So then people don't have time to object or can protest to it or say, hang on a minute, I don't understand this or I don't like that. So be very, very aware of that. And be aware that our politicians around the world might be trying to hoodwink us with a few things at the moment. So it really is the time, as much as you might find it distasteful, it really is the time to really get involved with your own local politics, know exactly what's going on, what are your leaders doing, what sort of information are they sharing with us through social media and telecasts and things like that, and make sure what they're telling you resonates with you and you feel comfortable with it. If you don't, then be aware of the next time you have that opportunity to vote, your vote is powerful. Make sure you use it. So on a more personal sort of level, we can find that this sort of overspills into the hierarchy of families. And at the moment, there could be a number of family issues that are coming to a head, things that have been simmering under the surface on and off for years in some cases, and all of a sudden, things are starting to sort of poke their head up and people are starting to sort of have their little say, and it's not necessarily in a nice way, and then somebody else gets on the bandwagon and before you know it, World War III is broken out in the family. Can I say again, be very observant of who's doing what and who's saying what and what are their motives. Is it just a very selfish motive, or are they really looking out for the bigger picture, the best interest of the family as a collective? Or is it more about satisfying their own needs? Now, this can also spill over into working environments. Again, it could be a destructive energy in the working environment, particularly if you work for a large organisation. You're starting to see people sort of politically join different sides in the office. So just be very careful again. You're probably best off being seen as neutral and not really having an opinion and not taking sides with anybody. Just be your own person. I mean, and don't give a lot of information away unless it's on a need-to-know basis. So that's what's happening around the universe at the moment. I want to now go on to our little weekly segment that we've been doing where we've been featuring famous singers of the different astrological signs. And this week I'm pleased to say we're up to the female sign of Scorpio. And last week I had an actual request from my producer that he wanted me to feature one of his favourite singers. And I said to him, well, that's really interesting because I actually think she's the one that we'll be featuring next week. And I'm pleased to say it's Helen Reddy. Now, Helen Reddy, for those of you that don't know her, you will know her by the time I'm finished, and particularly when I mentioned the song that everybody knows her by. Helen Reddy actually started her singing career at the very tender age of 4 years of age. Now, that's amazing because this lady is well and truly over 4 now, I can assure you. And she actually lost that contest. They basically told her she didn't have any talent. So luckily she took no notice of them. Being a Scorpio, and she was probably a little bit forthright even at the age of 4, she decided that they didn't know what they were talking about and she was going to continue on. Well, luckily for us, she did. She's gone on to have many, many hit records. She's had many awards. She's been many musicals, many stage events and things like that. She's been in television. She was one of the first female Australian singers to actually have her own show in the US of A. So that's quite a big feat in itself. She was also been affectionately named the Queen of Pop of the 70s. I'm speaking about the one and only, the person that really has stood up for every woman on the planet, the one and only Helen Reddy. And, of course, we all know the song, I Am Woman, Watch Me Roar. So I really do take my hat off to you, Helen Reddy. I've been a huge fan of you ever since I can remember. And it's just a song that I think every woman can sing to. Whether you can sing in tune or not, it's another thing. But, you know, we all know the words to the song and we all love it. And, you know, she's just brought, I think, so many songs to life in a way that other people couldn't have done it justice. So good on you, Helen Reddy. And I'm sure my producer's now happy. I mean, I'll be interested to see who else he'd like to suggest we might talk about. But I've got some exciting couple of ones coming up in the next couple of weeks, couple of famous Sagies. And I'm not just picking people that I like. I'm picking people that I think everybody will like. But we're now ready to take our first caller, and it's Shalaya in Squamish, Washington. Are you ready, Shalaya?
Yes, I am.
Hello?
Hi.
Hi, how can I help you, sweetie? Do you have a question for me tonight?
Yeah, I just kind of want to know, like, what's in, like, the near future for me, you know, like, career-wise and whatever that you could pick up for me, if you can.
Okay, look, I don't know that it's necessarily the right time at the moment to be looking to change your career. What they're showing me is you need to give it a couple more months before you make that sort of final decision. So I'm taking from that that even if you were to sort of start looking at the moment, you wouldn't find anything that would naturally make you want to put the effort in to jump ship. So I'm not saying don't look. I'm not saying don't keep your eye on the job situation, but I just don't want you to be disappointed that there's nothing out there that sort of says, yes, that's what I want. You know what I mean? That I really want to go for that. So maybe just use this time to get other areas of your life ready for the changes that are coming, you know, like clear the closets out, you know, declutter the house, you know, things like that. Get yourself ready so you're showing the universe that you're ready for change. This year has been about a number of things finishing for you. So has there been friends and situations like that that you sort of think, I no longer need that in my life anymore? There's no longer the great connection that there once was?
Yeah.
Yeah, well, that's all positive because that's all getting you ready for these changes. I'm not saying you're going to move, but I do see a lot of movement within where you're living, like clearing things out, moving the furniture around, you know, sprucing things up. And that's all sort of positive as well. But I also sort of felt that you were starting to get more messages from the other side, or more psychic flashes, as I like to call them. You know, your intuition is quite strong at the moment. Have you been acknowledging that?
Yeah. Yes, yeah.
Good.
Definitely, yeah.
Yeah, so just keep on the path that you are, because I just know that when the timing's right, you'll just get that strong urge that, gee, I've got to go and look at the job situation. I haven't looked at a job board in 3 days. I better look now. You know, follow those sort of strong feelings that you're getting, because I do feel that there is a new opportunity coming, but I'd really be surprised if it's much before the end of the year, and then it's sort of the right time to sort of make the change and sort of, you know, be ready for what 2019 is going to bring in, which is a year of great stability, but I also think a very, very busy year ahead of you. So, you know, we've got a really, really some good opportunities coming towards you over the next couple of months, so you just need to be ready for them.
Okay, thank you.
You're very, very welcome. And I'm just reading on my screen here about Helen Reddy from my producer. Ain't No Way to Treat a Woman. Don't treat a lady, I beg your pardon. Angie Baby, written by a past friend of mine, Alan O'Day. Well, we want to thank you, Alan O'Day, for that beautiful song, because Angie Baby is actually one of my other favourite songs. I mean, I like just about everything that Helen Reddy ever sang. I mean, you know, very powerful, very dynamic woman. I've seen a number of interviews of her. So we're just waiting for our next caller to come through. So I'll just continue to do a little bit of talking. So I'll just tease up a little bit. Next week we're going to be talking about a very, very dynamic Sagittarian male, someone that departed the planet a long time ago now, but his work has lived on and just gone through many generations. And I even know that my son, who's quite grown up now, is one of his biggest fans. And it's interesting to see a much, much younger generation really still sort of relating to the music of that era. So that's now whetted your appetite. Who could that be? A famous Sagittarian male. Now we're going to go to Susan in Portland in Oregon. Are you there, Susan?
Hello.
Hi, Susan. How are you? How can I help you tonight?
Wonderful. How are you?
Very well, thank you, sweetie. Have you got a question for me?
Yes, I had a health question. I've got a surgery coming up. Just curious about it.
Okay, technically by law we're not supposed to answer health questions, but how I can get around this for you, Susan, is I don't feel anything untoward. I feel with this surgery, this is something that you sort of almost procrastinated with. You sort of put it off, didn't you?
Yes, I did.
Yeah, and I'm not saying you shouldn't have done that.
You.
I mean, I'm just saying, I just sort of feel that by doing that, I was going to say, I think you've researched this thoroughly. You now are in a comfortable position where you feel that this is the right answer, that this is the only solution to your health issue. And I'm going to say to you, you're right. I think it's going to be very successful. And I feel that you're going to be very surprised, Susan, that how much you come through the other side of this operation quickly. And I'm going to say it's all down to your attitude, because you're going into this knowing in a comfortable position that this is the only solution, like I've made the right choice. This is the right thing for my body and my health moving forward. So this is why the impact of the surgery will be, in a sense, less of a shock to the body than it would have been if it had been something that had been sprung on you and you hadn't had time to think about it and were still questioning it. So, that's why you'll come out the other side and heal a lot quicker than what you normally would have. So that's a good thing.
Thank you. What about an outlook on 2019?
Okay, 2019 is going to start off a little bit slow, Susan, and I don't want you to be disappointed by that, because I want you to look at your new year won't actually start until about March. So it's like, come through the operation, give yourself time to heal, give yourself time to regroup about what's the next things I want to bring into my life. And then let's just slowly glide into 2019, not in any great rush to kick anything new off till about March. Then I feel things are going to be very, very sort of action-packed. We won't have time to scratch, and that's good. So are we looking to change our job next year, Susan?
Perhaps, yes.
Because I'm seeing a new job. I would have said around April, May. It's sort of like up until then, I think the one you've got will do. It's okay. I don't really see any great opportunities to advance where you are. It's like I've gone as far as I can go. And yeah, I could sit there and I could be comfortable, but you're not that sort of person. You need to have something to get your teeth into all the time. You need new opportunities coming towards you, and that's what I feel. But I also sort of feel there's a couple of trips next year as well. It's going to be a very busy year once we get past March, Susan.
Wow, that's wonderful. Thank you. Anything else?
No, everything else in your life seems to be clear. I think you just need to be, just get ready for your minor surgery and just, allow yourself that time to sort of heal and do nothing and watch the telly and read a book and just enjoy it. You know what I mean? You need to let the body heal, and then you'll be ready to go next year.
Well, thank you very much.
You're very, very welcome. So we've come to the end of the show again now. I mean, I know it goes very, very quickly. For those of you that might like a private reading, you can head to my website, www.amandahallpsychic.com.au. While you're there, join into our newsletter, and you can qualify then for a free astrology chart that'll be emailed to you anywhere in the world that's personal just for you. For those of you that want to know a little bit more about dreams, I'll be actually doing a Facebook Live dream workshop over on Facebook directly after this on my page of Amanda Hall over there. You're more than welcome to join us. It's free, of course. And on next week's show, as I said, we're going to have somebody exciting. We're talking about a male Sagittarian that really did take the music world by storm and left an amazing legacy for many, many generations to share. We'll have our candle of the week. We'll have our little glimpse around the universe. And, of course, we'll have our Simply Tarot card of the week as well. So I hope until next week that you're really kind to each other and you really do make each day count. Always live today as if it's your last day on earth. What would be the last thing that you would like people to remember you for? And just be kind to each other, because kindness and a smile and love does certainly make the world go round. So until next week, bye for now. Have a great week. Bye for now.